But a lot of people have a hard time going personal, right? It's like, well, I don't want to ask them about their family. I don't want to ask them about, how they're doing personally.
Why?
I don't know. I'm asking you. What is that barrier that people are experiencing? Is it because work is for work?
George, that's the most absurd, ridiculous thing I've ever heard. It's very archaic. When you look at just even the challenges in the past year to year and a half, if you don't build strong relationships with the people that you work with, and they can report to someone who reports to you, it doesn't matter. You can still be friends. You've got to have enough security in yourself and own the role that you're in, whether you're an owner or the top dog or whatever that is. Just own that, and then not take that so seriously that you can't make fun of yourself in front of them and to them and laugh with them, because that's what we're all looking for at the end of the day. We're looking for someone, if they're leading us, to be able to relate to them, to understand them, feel like they understand us. And honestly, like I said before, we spend most of our lives with the people we work with. And if you don't know them and you don't know what's going on with their families, you're missing out on so much richness in life. And I would tell you flat out, you will be more effective as a team. You will accomplish more in a shorter period of time if you're friends while you're doing it.
Does that come down to trust? Is that why?
Yes, because recently, this is a great example. Recently, Dave was just kind of going on a rant with our team, because one of the ways we invest in the larger team is we have a staff meeting every week with all of the team. All 1,000 people are in one room.
It's a lot of payroll.
It's a lot of payroll, and it's worth every penny, because that way communication is happening, and it's happening the right way. And in one of those meetings, Dave was just sharing some stuff on his heart. And one of the things he shared was that a year ago during COVID, he didn't know what he was doing. And he literally said that. He's like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I was just putting my big boy britches on and figuring it out every day. And it's so powerful for a CEO to share that with the team. He has enough security in who he is and his role here that he can share that and not have any second thoughts about that. And our team walked away from that just blown away, because that gives them permission to not always know what they're doing and not to posture all the time and act like they know what they're doing, because that annoys everybody around you. So as the leader, give them that permission, and you can still hold them accountable to excellence, because Lord knows Dave does. Hold them accountable to the things that you expect, but also share with them when you don't always meet the mark and you don't always know what you're doing, and have enough security in yourself and in your role to be able to do that.
So it sounds like as a leader, you need to be vulnerable as part of investing in your team. That's what it looks like, is vulnerability.
Yes.
And you also mentioned standards. Is it also communicating expectations? What happens in your weekly meetings with your direct reports? What's going on there?
It's so funny. I'm terrible. Like, I tend to expect people to read my mind. And I've kind of figured that out about myself more recently. And so I'm really challenging myself to communicate better, because I sometimes think they just should know my expectations.
I've heard you say, I wish they would just get it. And it's like, well,
I
what
always
is
say,
it?
get the memo.
Get the memo.
Why can't they just get the memo?
Where's the memo?
The memo's up here in my brain.
Okay.
And that's not helpful. To me, it's just common sense. But that doesn't mean it's common sense to everybody. And so when we have our weekly meetings, my 5 guys and I meet every week together, and we take turns sharing what's going on in each person's area. It's awesome for collaboration. And even though their areas are so different, it's helping them build things together because they're sharing with each other. But in those meetings, like, I'm communicating expectations. We had a situation pop up recently where one of them was sharing a disaster that occurred from a technological standpoint that I just hadn't heard about at the time. And he was sharing about it. And I said, well, when you found out about that, like, you went to that other leader that was involved and talked to them, right? And he was like, no, at that point he hadn't talked to him at all. And I was like, okay. Pause. I looked at everybody in the room and I said, just so we're clear, my expectation next time would be, if you hear this news at 10 a.m. on Monday morning, at 10:05, you're in such and such's office. Are we clear on that? Yes. Crystal clear, yes. But it was like a teachable moment kind of thing, and there was no shame involved, and there was no, like, making that person feel less than in front of their peers. It was more like just I'm communicating expectations. So next time you all understand, like this is how we roll.
Well, and as you've talked about having a personal relationship, it comes from a very different place when they know that Suzanne's got my back. Suzanne loves me. She'll go to war for me.
I'm glad you said
That's very different than you walking in there cold and you guys are just your business acquaintances and you're reprimanding him in front of all these people.
George, that's so important. I'm so glad you brought that up because the guy that I was directly talking about there knows I'm his friend, knows that I care a ton about him. I know what's going on with his kids, and we're all friends. And so it's a conversation. It's not like a verbal spanking in front of people. That's not what, and it doesn't feel like that. And so that's very important. If you take the time to build those friendships, it's so much easier to give constructive criticism.
Yeah. And no one feels put down by that.
They don't love it. No one loves constructive criticism. They want to be a rock star all the time, but they take it so much better when they know you care about them and you really do have their back.